All right, let's dive in. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly what happens with your data here at DragonSource. And we're doing it all through the lens of one of the strongest privacy laws on the planet, the GDPR. Let's get right to it.
You know the feeling, right? You're faced with that giant wall of text. Your eyes kind of glaze over, you click agree, and you just move on with your day. But have you ever stopped to think, what did I just agree to? What's really happening with my personal data behind the scenes? That is exactly what we are going to unpack right now. So first things first, let's get on the same page about what GDPR even is. And look, instead of thinking about it as some dense, complicated legal thing, I want you to think of it as your own personal charter of digital rights. At its heart, the GDPR is all about putting you back in the driver's seat when it comes to your personal data. It's a really powerful rulebook that tells organizations how they have to handle your information, making sure it's done securely, transparently, and always with your rights as the top priority. This is the foundation for everything we're about to talk about.
Okay, so with that foundation set, where does the journey of your data actually begin? Well, it all starts the moment we collect it. And it is so important to understand not just what we're collecting, but maybe even more importantly, why. Every single decision we make about your data is guided by these 7 core principles. You can think of them as our North Star. From making sure we only collect what we absolutely need, that's data minimization, to being completely open about how we use it, that's transparency, these ideas are literally baked into how we operate.
See, under GDPR, you can't just process data for any old reason. You need a valid legal justification, what's called a lawful basis. For us, it really comes down to these 4. We process your payment info to fulfill our contract with you, we monitor for suspicious activity out of a legitimate interest to keep everyone safe, and we will only ever use marketing cookies with your explicit consent. It's that simple. All right, so we've covered the why. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about the what. What are the actual types of data we're talking about here? This table breaks it all down. Your identity data, like your name and email, helps us manage your account. Technical data helps us keep the lights on and things running smoothly. But what's really key here are the retention periods. We do not keep data forever. Notice how technical logs are gone in 90 days? And that 7-year period for financial info? That's not some random number we picked. It's a legal requirement for tax purposes. Knowing what data is collected is one thing, but how in the world is it protected? Let's go behind the scenes for a minute and look at the actual safeguards we have in place to keep your information locked down and secure. We have this philosophy called privacy by design, and really all it means is that we don't treat privacy like an add-on or a feature we tack on at the end. We build our systems from the ground up with data protection as a core part of the architecture. It's in our DNA. And here are some of the tools we use to make that happen. We are relentless about data minimization. We use pseudonymization, which is a fancy word, but it's like giving your data a secret code name so it can't be directly tied back to you. And of course, everything is encrypted using super strong standards like AES 256 when it's stored and TLS 1.3 when it's zipping across the internet. Now, security is absolutely our job, but control, that is your right. So this next section is all about you. It's about empowering you and showing you exactly how you can manage your own data on our platform. The GDPR gives you this incredibly powerful set of rights. And honestly, the best way to think about them is like your own personal data control panel, a set of switches and dials that you and only you can use to manage your information. And here it is. This is that control panel in action. Want to see a copy of all the data we have on you? That's your right to access. Notice a typo in your name? Your right to rectification lets you fix it instantly, right in your profile. And if you decide you want to leave and have us delete your data, you can exercise your right to erasure. These aren't just policies on a page. They are real, active tools that you can use anytime. So, what if you need to make a more formal request? Sounds complicated, right? Well, it's not. We've boiled it down to this super simple 4-step process. You send the request, we quickly verify it's really you, that's for your own security. Then we get to work, and we deliver a response securely within 30 days. No crazy hoops to jump through, we promise. Okay, for our last section, let's zoom out a bit. Because protecting your data isn't just about a single action or feature. It's about an ongoing framework of accountability that guides everything we do. We live in a global world, and sometimes data needs to cross borders. So how do we make sure it's just as safe over there as it is here? Well, we use really robust legal tools. For our partners in the US like OpenAI and Stripe, we rely on something called Standard Contractual Clauses, or SCCs. Basically, they're airtight legal contracts that enforce GDPR-level protection no matter where the data is. Now, this is a question nobody ever wants to ask, but everyone absolutely deserves an answer to. What's the plan if the worst happens? What if there's a security incident? The answer comes down to two things: speed and transparency. The key number to remember is this: 72 hours. We are legally and ethically required to notify the proper authorities within 72 hours of discovering any breach that might pose a risk to you. That timeline ensures immediate accountability and fast action. And you should know, you're not in this alone. We have a data protection officer, or a DPO. You can think of this person as your independent expert and advocate inside our company. Their entire job is to monitor our practices, challenge us, and act as a direct resource for you if you have tough questions. Look, if there is just one thing you take away from this entire explainer, I want it to be this. This simple statement is the absolute core of our privacy philosophy. It's a promise, and it's one we take very, very seriously. And because transparency is so important to us, this conversation doesn't have to end here. If you have more questions, or if you just want to understand any of this on a deeper level, please do not hesitate. Reach out directly to our data protection officer. They are here to help.